Hi, everyone. This is Mary. I just got back from cataract surgery on my left eye a few days ago because I knew I was going into surgery and I've had high blood pressure for a while. I said, let me write my story on the west side, the complete story. How we went up to band. I guess we were going into eighth grade. I didn't know that. I always thought it was just seventh grade. But it was 1967 June, early part of June, because he was doing Stanford later, apparently. My mom got a clarinet from a pawn shop. I wasn't going to stick with it, but my friend and I always tried to get into school early. As a matter of fact, she kept that up and got out of school early and went into nursing. I floundered quite a bit. I may have had some histrionics in my between 20 and 28. I'd have a relationship, it'd fall apart. I was heartbroken. I'd have a crush on somebody who wasn't interested in me. The guys who were interested in me, I wasn't interested in. And at some point in my life, I said, this is ridiculous. I don't want no damn hot, sweaty man. When I really realized it, when my father had had several strokes and he took this old razor, and it's a Friday night when everybody's out, maybe going to a movie, and I was taking care of my dad who'd already had a series of strokes, and we're in a line looking at razors, and he's trying to find a Gillette silver razor that they didn't make and hadn't made from maybe the 70s or 60s. And I asked him, and I said, because we kept looking and looking, and this is my life. And they do. They said, we're going to Arby's. And you think, no, I was going to maybe go out to the beach today or something. It's like, no, no, thank you. No, I like to run my life. I'm just, maybe I'm like O for something. Anyway, so I'm content. I'm very happy. I'm a fulfilled number. My little puppies are my Miss Lily. Where are you? Anyway, they're my children. My mom was a little upset I didn't have children. But anyway, on to this post. I'm going to go on to the post. Okay, so I put it up there, tell the whole story. How I hollered, hey, naked, and this red Volkswagen hops into the field behind Debbie on the clay plot. And she starts talking to him. We get in. I'm not going to go over the whole encounter. So I wrote it all down. I wrote it all down. And I said, if anybody from the period of 1967 through 78 had any type of encounters, most of the encounters I get are 1978. And I now suspect he came to Jacksonville more than one time. Remember how he told Mishu I had a series of cars? Well, he was over there, 37 days from about, January 8th in Tallahassee till February 15th when he got picked up in Pensacola. Well, that's about, in my math, about 37, 36, 38 days, somewhere in there. We don't know where he was. He said he had a series of cars. I guess you'd have to look at the stolen cars during that time and see how many pop up. If you have 4 or 5, you can say maybe he used other cars and went places. I don't know. Okay, so we had several hits before the woman's bullying. And to see, there's people out there, because my friend Julia had 2 sisters. So there's friends, relatives, and I think they had an affair with him. Somebody in that family had an affair and became pregnant. I'm not making this up. It sounds, what the hell? I'm telling you, from 67 to 69, he came to and from the East Coast, and it's only 13 hours from Philadelphia. If you drive, I've taken the trip. My people were from Philadelphia. My grandmom Stelzer and Carl Adolph was from Philadelphia. And, we go to Tennessee, we go to Philadelphia, we go to Daytona. Anyway, that doesn't matter. In my wheelhouse is a place called the Roller Dome. From the time I was 11 till the time I was almost 15, it's one thing I loved. I loved to put on my skates. At one point, my mom got me real skates, leather skates that came up to your ankle with the ceramic rubbery ball, not silver, but regular roller skating rink. Because I didn't like putting on the ones there. I always wore socks, but they were like rubber. I don't know if they were black or tan, but the shoes themselves were white leather. They were nice. So I had my own set of roller skates. Okay. I would go up there 11, 12, and it's one thing that me and my friend Julia did that didn't involve drugs, yellow jackets, red beanies, amphetamine type drugs, barbiturates. They were on the street. You could take a downer, you could take an upper. The people have sold them like candy out in the streets. This is late 1960s, early 70s. Marijuana. I didn't want no part of marijuana. I didn't want no part of drugs. I didn't want to drink unless under the auspices of a glass of wine at my parents' home or something like that. No, because I was 11 to 15. I wanted to be a kid, and I loved that roller rink. There was an organist there. like Debbie's mother, Julia, who played in the Heart of Jacksonville. She was an organist and looked like Liz Taylor. But anyway, so I like that too. But it didn't just, he had canned music. But at a certain point in the evening, and I'd go racing around and around and around that track. And I remember something about a rat-tailed comb. And it was just not, they had a little cafe, you know, we could buy soda and potato chips and stuff. Hot dog, I guess, I don't know. So you take a break, because, I mean, you're there for a couple hours, right? And you're just skating around and around. I'd go as fast as I could. I'd try different moves. I'd put my foot up behind me, just stuff. I loved it. And anyway, at a certain time, they dim the lights, and there was a silver bell, a silver ball, and then the organ. I'm gonna use Blue Velvet, and the organ would come on. More blue velvet, da 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 da, and little color lights were on the tile. You know, the skating rink. It was called roller derm. This guy, I put this blog up there. Not about that. That's my wheelhouse, though, right? So I put this blog up there, and I said, if anybody has anything. So before the bully got on, I started getting hits. One of the hits said, well, when he was in Jacksonville, he went to the Evangel Temple. That's on Ramona. It's close to Normandy, but it's on Ramona Boulevard. And he said he went there looking for food or money. And they said, we'll be glad to give you some food and money if you'll do some errands. And I guess, first, let's say that you're on the lam and I give you a white Camry, an older model white Camry, or maybe an Impala. And I drop you into Cleveland. And it's 1978. And I give you a Sunoco map that you pick up at a 7-Eleven or possibly a Kmart. You got the town map. That's all you have. It doesn't tell you, maybe it's got a couple little keys on it, but it's got I-9, 75, I-44, whatever. And you've got to figure out, it says, well, if you want to go to the Mission, it's on Ramona, 5500 block. Back then, you could find Ramona from your little map, but you might be in the 4,000, 3,000 block, and it's curvy, and it's up by the expressway, and you got to find 5575 or something. It was very easy to get lost. Jacksonville was consolidated. There's no mention of him on the south side or the north side, but he went to Evangel Temple. I said, damn, I didn't know that. And then another lady said, well, Jeb Stewart used to be Forest High School. Well, I said, that's interesting. Just the year before we went in, I guess in 66, and last year it was a high school, then it became Jeb Stewart. Next, a lady said, my aunt worked in Gulf Breeze, and there's a 3-mile bridge from Pensacola Bay to Gulf Breeze, and she said she swore to God, on the entire route of 3 miles, there was an orange Volkswagen on her ass. Excuse my French, but that's from this section. Anyway, she said she swore to God he never passed. He just stayed right behind her. And she said when she saw, a few days later, she saw the arrest, she said, that's a creepy looking dude. She could see his face. People had good eyesight then, you look at the pudgy face with a 3 sweater and whatever. She recognized him. And that was another hit. A third man comes on and says, well, my dad worked at the Roller Dome. And he says one night during that period, the 36 hours, in the dark hours, a man came and tried to lure one of the girls out of the roller rink. And he said it was Ted Bundy. He had come in. He was telling some story to kids, 12, 13, 14, and tried to get them to come out. And I think the man chased him off. I think he was like maybe the custodian of the cafe or something. He said, no, In other words, he was trying to pick up a girl at the roller rink. Now, during COVID, I had put up a similar post. And the hit then was a woman's grandmother worked at Marietta gas station. That's near Green Acres. Now, Marietta sounds like that's Georgia. No, it's a subdivision of Baldwin, White House, Florida, out that way. Normandy, far on the west side of town. It's called Marietta. It's like you have a neighborhood. We have neighborhoods. So Marietta would be a neighborhood, not a city. And he bought gas there. Another lady said that she was walking between Parvin and Hugh Edwards on Wilson Boulevard. And it was her brother's girlfriend at the time, or maybe even her brother's girlfriend now. And I think their last name was Rodriguez. But the girl was walking along Wilson, and the van came. And she said she saw him, but she just turned around and ran the other way, and it couldn't back up in traffic. That's near Lane. Lane takes you to Normandy. Normandy takes you to Green Acres, okay? Harvin and Hugh Edwards are just like a block and a half away from Aldington, Julia's old home. Julia and I, although we didn't get along that much as I entered my higher teen years, the roller rink was special to me. Roller derm was special. There weren't beanies and yellow jackets and drinking and somebody doing something behind the bleachers. No, it was just nice. You know what I'm saying? I liked being a kid. And when they put the dim lights on you, any boy, if you're standing in a crowd, everybody had to clear off the floor. And there's just some guy there. And he would skate with. He didn't, no question asked, skate around the rink with you during the, you know, I thought that was real romantic. That's my wheelhouse. He knew where the roller rink was, Cassett and San Juan. Uh, Excuse me, what I've got, and then the witch woman came on and said, she's psychiatric. A friend of a friend said that she's got mental issues. And I said, what are mental issues? When my mother died of lung cancer, I took a sedative. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I have 2 honorable discharges. I did 37 years at IRS. I did 29 years assisting people. And I've just covered a 10-year span working at the stadium in security. I have 2 honorable discharges. I have a criminal justice degree, bachelor's, and a criminal justice degree, associate in science, and a criminal majoring in criminal justice, associate in arts, and associate in science and accounting. I own my own home. I have T. Rowe Price, Vanguard, Global X, ETF fund. I have rebalanced Reebok, a T. Rowe Price. I have pre-tax municipal bond fund. I've given to them. I used to have First Union Evergreen. That's a sucker. I've changed my party as I matured. Did I have some histrionics when somebody didn't like you and your heart was broken and the world seemed like it was? Yeah. Were there crimes? No. Were there excessive stalking? No. Were there fires, tires cut, divorces, scratches, door kicking in? No, none of that. None of that. The only thing I could say, I was very emotional. And I would say that carried on from 20, maybe even 28. And I think it's hormones or something. Who knows? It doesn't matter. But a point in my life after my schooling, I even dated, the love of my life, I guess, was a professor that was like 14 years older than me. We had a short affair. Then I dated this guy, I'd say he looked a little bit like Hitler. Then there was a guy that really liked me, and I liked him, and he was going to law school, Douglas Pate, and he said he would write me letters from Gainesville and stuff. But they said his eyes were so weak, and I said, my eyes aren't that good, and now your eyes aren't that good. Our children will be blind. I mean, he had a Triumph Spitfire, too, and we went to a river rafting on Ish, Kentucky. Anyway, they're out there. And they come back and say things publicly like a friend of a friend told me that she doesn't need neighbor. She doesn't need next door neighbor. This is not the forum for that. Well, I'm thinking, this is the West Side. These people are in their 60 to 80s. If you can't do it now, it ain't never going to happen. What has happened, I believe, is this. Julia's older sister got pregnant or had an affair with him. Remember, Julia's mother had bipolar and alcoholism. God rest her soul. She died of ovarian cancer, I think. I don't know. Anyway, what about? And, I mean, can you imagine? But if there is a child born of that, I'm not crazy. But what I garnered from this, and I'm about to leave it alone, is he knew Jacksonville. Remember the car I said was dropped down in Cleveland and they told you to go to Evangel Mission? They told you to go to the Roller Dome? They told you to go out to Wesconet and Lamoille and try to pick up at Jeb Stewart. By the way, if you go to Jeb Stewart, you've already passed Lakeshore, which was also a middle school then, or junior high school, and Bayview is an element. They're back to back. He passed that. If you get off the expressway, the closest thing off the expressway was Robert E. Lee, which is now called Riverside High, but it was Robert E. Lee. It was right off the expressway. He passed that and ends up right back where Julia and I saw him in 67. He's right back there. He's in the Kmart parking lot, basically at Lamoille and Wesconet, where we were sitting in the red Volkswagen in 67. He is in Orange Park eating a French cuisine, which I tried to figure if it was $18 then. I guess it would be like 78, 18. Let's say it's 20. Let's just call it 20 with tip. So I think about about $80. That's a pretty expensive meal for somebody on the lam. But let's go back to that Impala or Camry up in Cleveland. Would you know? Or would you go out towards Evangel Temple and end up riding around for 4 hours trying to find the main highway again? I mean, really. All you have is a Sunoco map, and somebody, and that's another thing about the Evangel Temple trying to get money there. Someone directed him there. And the woman that said he had early on he had tried to get a place at Gator Lodge on the south on Beach Boulevard. Now that was early on because her parents owned like a Motel 6 type thing with a gator out front. It was called Gator Lodge. It was family owned. And that's where she lived. She lived in one of the rooms at Gator Lodge when she was a little kid, 4 or 5, 6 years old. And she said she remembered that Ted Bundy had tried to get a room there. That may have been while he was doing day labor. So only thing I can imagine now, if he knew this area that well and didn't get lost, get stranded, he's in a stolen vehicle, and all he has is a map. And he's in Ernest Holiday Inn. He's getting gas at Shell on St. John's and Roosevelt. He's over at West Gannett in Lamoille. He's at Parvin and Hugh Edwards. He goes to the roller derm at night. He has a meal in Orange Park. He bought gas in Marietta. He goes to Green Acres. He talks about the clover leaf like it was the back of his hand. He knew. Oh, and another hit was a woman that had to drive to and from Jacksonville to go to Gainesville to school. I don't know why. She had a flat tire. And during this period, some guy came up to her in a van and was going to help her with the flat tire. She said he came out shaking. He was shaking. She couldn't understand. He was like a nervous wreck. And he didn't seem to know what he was doing with the tire. And some guys from a telephone company, I don't know what you call it back then, 2 guys in a telephone truck came up, and they assisted her. And she said he literally was shaking like a leaf. And she thinks it might have been him. So we have somebody going towards Gainesville. And that's another thought came in mind. He could have made other trips to Jacksonville using that stable of cars that he claimed he had. He had 37 days. And I don't think his whereabouts were, Anyway, that's what I wanted to do. This is probably the final part, 25. He had too much knowledge of driving around the spread out Jacksonville. And if you put somebody's home in the center of all that, Ernest, Orange Park, Roosevelt, Lamoille and West Gannett, Parvin, Hugh Edwards and Wilson, Normandy and Green Acres, Ramona Boulevard, Evangel Temple, and you draw a line crisscrossing across it. What scares me is we spent a lot of time at the Roller Dome. That's our wheelhouse. And he went there. Oh, my God. So there's some kind of contact with him and those people. All right, thank you. And I'm sorry about that. But you're all missing something. And I would say the main events happened from 67 till fall of 69. So we're talking a little quick meeting in 67. Nobody knew. He gaslighted him and said, hey, your friend got upset when I pulled that gun. Did you see her face? Can I still come for dinner? Who knows? He gaslighted. I never saw him again that I know of except the Riviera Apartments. I think that might have been him. There was a wheel hanging from the rafters. All right, thank you.